is currently Wednesday, and to be honest, I haven't really filmed much the last couple days because I've been in the pit of some GI migraine action, and also stress has been incredibly high. Do you come here? Come here. No? Okay. Do you want to come up? Do you want to come here? No? Okay. So I thought I would do something a little bit different this week and touch on a few more in-depth conversations and topics throughout the week, and then just give you some video snippets kind of taking you through the week with me. So I hope you enjoy. So one thing I wanted to share and talk about is what my life has been the last year as far as my health. I keep referencing it on the vlogs and I'm not giving much detail, so I wanted to give sort of the full story here. So last June 2025, we were in the process of selling the gym. I co-founded Compass and co-ran it for 7 years, and while it was an amazing experience, it was incredibly stressful, especially the last year. And early in June, I remember I was here at home by myself. Amy was traveling. I threw up for like 12 hours straight, like every half hour. And I just thought that I had norovirus. It was going around at the time. I was like, okay, I haven't been that sick in a long time, so fine, whatever, moving on. It sucked. And then 2 weeks later, Amy and I had a double wedding. We had 2 weddings in one day. And at the first wedding, it was pretty hot. And during the ceremony, it was like in a covered tent outside. And during the ceremony, I got really nauseous. And I turned to Amy and I was like, I don't feel so good. And she could see I was kind of panicked. And then I just kind of like waited it out. We had dinner there. I had steak. And then we went to the next wedding, which was like a casual backyard wedding, and pulled up, and the Sweet Cow truck, ice cream truck, was there. And if you're from Denver, you know Sweet Cow is pretty dang good. And I had some ice cream. Both of these things I eat and it's fine, but it was like kind of the first heavy meal that I had post being sick the past 2 weeks earlier. And so about 30 minutes later, I get really nauseous again. And I then like vomiting aggressively in the front yard of our friend's house. It's like, wow, just full on frat bro status, and like just violent. Get home. Initially, even the thought that ran through my mind was like, oh, I just ate steak and ice cream, and like my stomach just wasn't ready for that after what had been through 2 weeks prior. So we get home and I continued to throw up a lot. And it was where like nothing was in my stomach anymore. And I was like, okay, that's so strange. 2 weeks later, Amy and I go to Toronto for her family reunion. And we decided to go to Toronto for a few days, see some of her friends, like be in the city. And then we were going to go sort of inland more. A couple hours is where the family reunion was. And so on our last day of Toronto time, the night before, we had gone out to dinner with some of her friends. I had 1 glass of wine. By the way, I should say about 2 years ago, pretty much stopped drinking, realized I couldn't sleep and train and all those things with alcohol. And so I maybe have 1 or 2 drinks per month. And sometimes I go 3 or 4 months without any. So anyways, had a drink, was up really late, slept 6 hours, got up. We ran like 6 miles, and then it was pretty hot too, get in the car to drive to the family reunion. And about an hour in, I'm driving and I'm like, I don't feel so good. The nausea hit again. And so we pull over at Tim Hortons and on the side of the highway, and I threw up for like 3 hours. Constantly like on the side of the road, basically on the side of the drive-through in the heat. Amy was like rubbing sunscreen on my back. She like walks to a drugstore to try to get anti-nausea medicine for me, and I'm just in it again. And it's just like every 15-20 minutes it's happening. So it finally subsides and we drive to the family reunion. So I'm sitting in the car in the driveway, just like kind of coming back like to reality and like drinking some water. Amy's just like, sit in here and like take your time, like there's no pressure to come in. So I'm sitting in the car and I start thinking about like, why is this happening? Like, this is definitely not a food thing. Like, what is going on here? So I messaged my mom because I had remembered that when I was a little, like right before puberty, or so I thought, I used to throw up a lot as a kid. And it was this thing where every 6 to 8 weeks, I would throw up all day. And it was almost like my mom could pinpoint it on the calendar. And I thought this happened for like a year before I started my period. I went to a couple doctors, and this one doctor was like, I think when she starts her period, this will go away. And that's exactly what happened. And I never have had any issues since. So I messaged my mom and I was like, hey, when I was sick as a kid, like, can you tell me more about that? And so she was like, yeah, from ages 6 to 12. I was like, 6 to 12? Like, this was 6 years long. She was like, yeah, and it progressively got worse as you got older. She said any sort of like big change, high stress, and then again, as you got closer to starting your period, almost like my hormone cycle would trigger it, you would have these like all day vomiting spells. And so I was like, oh, that's strange. I didn't know it was that long. So I start doing a little Googling, and cyclic vomiting syndrome comes up. And it's more prevalent in kids, but you can have it as a kid and then get it as an adult again. And also symptoms around like GI talk and symptoms around GI migraines started to come up too. So I was just kind of looking at that. I was like, okay, that's interesting. I've never had headaches. I mean, I can probably count on 2 hands like how many actual headaches I've had in my life. So migraines to me, I know that they can look a lot of different ways, and be like ocular or, tension, headache, they can look a lot of different ways. I just was like, oh, this surely isn't a migraine. So get through the trip, come back, and within the next 2 weeks, I had 2 more episodes. So I had 3 in a 2-week span, and they continue to get more and more violent. as they went. So we come home, and a couple days later I had another one. And it was like I had worked at the gym, I come home, and as I'm driving home, I like get this wave of nausea, and I'm like, oh, this is happening again. So it happened fourth time. And then I start talking to a couple of my doctor friends. My best friend's a nurse practitioner. I have another friend who's an MD, and they both mentioned like the migraine system and the migraine family. So I'm doing some more research, and it's starting to kind of seem like that's what this is. And I start tracking all my symptoms. So like heat was a big trigger, stress. I started to have a lot of like neck tension, not drinking enough, being dehydrated, electrolytes, not eating enough. I started to track every day if I was nauseous, or another thing I started to notice was some ocular stuff. I was having some blurred vision. Before the fourth episode, I had a blurry ring that morning that went away a couple hours into the day. But I started to track all my symptoms just so I could start to put together the pieces of the story. So the fifth episode was the scariest for sure, and really shook me quite a bit. Amy was out of town, and I was home by myself with the dogs, and it started, and I was throwing up like every 5 minutes. Like it was constant, and I could feel my heart rate. I could feel my anxiety was coming up. It was brutal and so aggressive. And I remember messaging Amy and calling her, and I was like, something's wrong. Like I'm really starting to freak out, and called my best friend. And I remember this moment. I had Amy and Miranda on, like both of them on the phone in 2 different cities. And Miranda called me like a remote nurse to kind of come by and give me some anti-nausea or try to get this to stop. So it was so nerve-wracking and so violent and freaked me out so badly. After that fifth episode, I was like, I need to like really figure this out. So I took a week off of training and teaching. I stopped exercising, and I started to try to go down the route of finding a PCP, of like scheduling an endoscopy, looking at like, is this digestive? I never thought that it was, but I wanted to make sure. My dad died of esophageal cancer when he was 47. He had acid reflux his entire life, a lot of digestive issues, a lot of stress. I never felt like it was anything esophageal or stomach, and it was really strange. Digestively, I always felt fine, but as soon as the nausea hit, my stomach would turn into like a globe. It would be so big. I looked 6 months pregnant, and it would be like I'd push it in and it would just bounce back. It was like it was full of air. And so that was the only thing that was tied directly to the nausea right before I would start vomiting. The rest of the time felt fine. So I found a membership-based practice and found a really good PCP, Dr. Crofta. And I felt like immediately I had someone in my corner as we tried to figure this out. And I remember the first session I went to see her in person, she was with me over an hour, which is one of the benefits of having a membership-based PCP. It wasn't just like a 15-minute appointment. And she was like, we're gonna figure this out. And there's lots of routes we can go here. Like, let's try to address each thing. Let's address the ocular stuff. Let's address the food stuff, the exercise, the possible migraine pathway. And we started to test some migraine meds. So I tried both Nurtec and sumatriptan when I would feel the acute nausea come on. And we knew it was in the migraine family right away when that medicine all of a sudden really helped, and it didn't trip me into the vomiting. I would feel the nausea, I would take the meds, and then it would cut it. And so that was really good news. But for the next couple of months, I would say August, September, October, I was still kind of really watching everything I did. I was symptom tracking every day. I wasn't really working out like I used to. I was back to work, but everything I was just kind of like on pins and needles, just like, when is it going to happen again? So I have not had a vomiting episode since that fifth one, but I have had many GI migraines since then. And really when it got to I would say December. It was like I got it under control around September, October. Things started to really be better. But then I would get little things would trip it up. Like travel's a big trigger. I would do the ski erg and I'd have this neck tension. And I was getting dry needling in my masseters, in my SCM muscle, and my suboccipitals. That would help, but I would feel neck tension come on. Right before my hormone cycle would begin, those 3 days leading up to my period were really bad. I would be nauseous a lot. High intensity exercise was an issue, but I was still kind of in this pocket of, okay, this is better, but I'm still experiencing these dry migraines. So it got better and then it got worse again, kind of in December again. And that's when I decided to stop high intensity exercise. I hired my coach Vince and I totally restructured my personal training program. So I am now lifting 4 days a week heavy. I'm doing lower intensity cardio, keeping my heart rate between 130, 140. And that exercise program has really helped bring the number of GI migraines down. I've probably had 4 or 5 since January, and truly it's like a threshold of how many stressors are stacked on top of each other. It's like I can travel, but I can't, work out, be in the heat, and stay up late. I can, have a little bit of, I drink matcha. I don't have coffee, but I can have a little coffee, but I can't pair that with a run in the heat. Like there are these different situations where I just have to be careful of stacking stressors. So that's sort of the full story of what has transpired for me health-wise since June. And it has really been an interesting journey. It's taught me a lot about the impact of stress. It just as a whole, it's brought me a lot of compassion and empathy for people who can't move their bodies the way they want. It's helped me really hone in on taking the best care of my body possible and all the many levers and layers that entails. So I'm not an expert when it comes to any of this. I just wanted to share that so that when I reference it in my videos, that's something that I am currently still dealing with. So if you are somebody who deals with a type of migraine, first of all, I have a lot of empathy, and I know that everyone's story around it and what they have to do to sort of manage it in their lives looks different. I would just, if it's something that you're dealing with, would love to hear about it and hear your perspective and what has helped you. That would be really great. Making a new recipe tonight, squash lasagna. So let's see how it goes. So I followed the recipe to a T. However, I didn't realize it called for 2 pounds of ground beef, so I just used the 1. So it still has a lot of protein. It's got a ton of cottage cheese in it, but next time I'll be
making sure I do the 2 pounds of ground beef.
Here we go. Get the right bite. I know, dogs, you want some. You can't, I'm sorry. Maybe we'll get a bite of squash later. Wow, that's good. New recipe success. This week has been a little bit tough. That's the dog and his tippy type Cinderella nails. I've been pretending I've not been sick since Sunday, and it started in my throat and just continued to move up, and now I feel like my head's gonna pop off my body. So it's a lot of pressure up here, but we are getting through it. I didn't share this, now the dogs are playing, if you hear any sort of rumbling in the background. But on Monday, I was finishing editing my second vlog, and I was ready to hit upload, and it said I didn't have enough storage on my computer, which was like strange. And so I started deleting a bunch of old videos that I wasn't using. Hold please. The dogs are in the midst of a very intense game of play. So I was deleting videos, and I went back to CapCut where I'm doing my editing, and like it lost its connection with the video clips that I deleted. So basically all the work that I had spent all week editing the vlog just sort of disappeared. Long story short, after my emotional break and some calming down from Amy, I had to like re-upload all the videos from my phone to my laptop, and I did figure it out. It's Zoomy time. Oh, here he comes. He's very good at Zoomies. Long story short, I had to spend another like 4 hours editing it, got it up on Tuesday. But that's how the week started. And then like tax stress and some like scheduling stuff this week. Monday was like through the roof stressful. And then the sickness just continued to develop. So we're getting through it this week, but it has not been the best, capital B. So thanks for hanging with me. I spent the day at the gym this morning, training a few clients. I went to the gym myself, I would give it a solid B lower body workout. And then I had my second fitting for my wedding outfit. And it's close, but it's not quite there yet. So just got home, I'm going to see if the dogs are done with their playtime, and we're going to take a little walk outside. So that'll reset the being. So while I was on the walk with the dogs just now, without my phone, I was just freely thinking about coming back to the house, doing some admin work for the rest of the afternoon. And that got me thinking about how important for me to feel good in the physical space is when I'm working from home. And having a tidy space, having a space that feels like grounded and inspiring to me is really important. And I wanted to show you the 3 areas in the house that I work from. Back in June, when we sold the gym, my little gift to myself was updating those spaces, a few spaces in the house. And I have a good friend who's an interior designer, and she really helped with this. So I'll show you those spaces now. So this is our dining area, and you can hear Fern drinking her water behind the table here. I sometimes will sit in this chair and just work from here. I don't know, I find it like really well lit, and I like sort of having my back against the wall looking at the house. We have a nice kitchen, which is over there. And we updated this rug, the table and chairs, and then the chandelier. And I'm just like pretty much obsessed with it. So this is one of the areas I work from. This is our office, and this got a pretty big revamp a few months ago. So we got new carpet, and we got these 2 standing desks that I'm obsessed with. So obviously they go up and down. Amy and I each have one. There's a dog doing dog stuff, and I'm obsessed with these built-in shelves. Well, I guess they're not built-ins, but they're attached to the wall. It just really brought some height to the room, and obviously there's a lot of light with this window, and the dogs sometimes will just come and sit in here with me. I'll bring their beds. Hello, dogs. There's also a second closet that I use for some of my clothes. So that's the office. So coming outside next, it's been very windy, so apologies for the leaves, but we have this lovely covered deck. Say hello to Augie. Hello. And sometimes Amy and I will eat dinner out here, or just come out here and have coffee in the morning. But we have this awesome table that we got last summer, and she works out here a ton. She has a higher cold tolerance than I do, but we love to sit here and work as well. Just be outside as much as possible. Sit? Okay. All right. I'm about to do some afternoon work, some admin work, and Thursdays are typically the day I check in with most of my clients. So I'm just going to film some Loom videos to check in with them. And I'm also putting the finishing touches on my Canva presentation. I am co-facilitating a workshop on menopause this weekend at the gym at Compass with our in-house physical therapist, Kelly. And she's going to be speaking on strength training and hormone changes and things like that. And then I'm going to be talking on nutrition and what happens during perimenopause and menopause, and things that we need to focus on late 30s onward. Sunday afternoon. So I'm just finishing up a few things on Canva for that, which I'm really excited to lead with her. Hi, the beans. I love you. Oh, there's a girl. Okay, this is night 2 of the new squash lasagna, and dang, it's so good. I just reheated it in the oven. She is steamy. I'm very excited for this. face. Let's talk about it. So it's Saturday afternoon, almost evening, and I'm getting ready to head out to go to the Denver Summit game, our new women's professional soccer team. Very excited. Went to the home opener and it was amazing. So I've spent most of the day pretty much recovering, relaxing. Yesterday I was at the gym all morning, and then I went to a physical therapy to get my masseters needled. And then I went to see my friend Katie, who owns an aesthetic small business. And she's one of my personal training clients. And on Thursday this week, she was like, hey, I want to gift you like a laser treatment for your wedding. Like, when could you come in? So fast forward, we decided Friday afternoon. I had already had like a stacked day, and I was like the peak of my sickness had settled in. And prior to this, I had only had one BBL laser treatment, and it really wasn't that bad. So I didn't really ask any questions like, how painful is this? Or like, what's the recovery time? So I go to BT, have my master's needle, which is painful in itself. And then I go see Katie and got my face numbed. And before that, we were talking about doing my face, obviously. And then we were talking about my arms. So I haven't talked about it here on yet, but I have this genetic skin condition called DSAP. My mom has it. My grandpa had it. It stands for, I actually have to look it up because it's crazy word, decimated superficial actinic porokeratosis. And it's just basically genetic and UV rays. That's the trigger. And there are these, I don't know if I can show you, this shirt is too tight, but there are these red spots on mainly my forearms, my calves, like my legs, some of my thighs too, and a little bit on my face. And basically it's not cancerous, but there are these bright red spots. They're almost like these mini lesions, and the sun is what really brings them out. And so I have to wear a lot of sunscreen. I'm not supposed to be out in the sun. I am out in the sun a lot. Triathlon made it so much worse, like being on the bike and having my forearms up and my calves up in the air. So when I was talking to Katie, she was like, we should do your arms and see, because the CO2 laser I was getting is known to help with DSAP. So anyways, numb the face. They don't numb the arms for it. It was more painful than I expected. They do say that Irish skin is a little bit more sensitive, but it was fine. But right afterwards, like my skin felt like I had a really bad sunburn. And I already was sick. I already had been up since 4, and I was just like a mess last night and was a mess most of today. So I've just basically been recovering. It's already way better than it was, but it should take a couple more days. I have to keep my arms out of the sun and my face out of the sun, things like that. So that's the explanation of the face. I had no idea what it looked like this. So that's the deal. Okay, it's like 50 degrees in Denver. It's colder than it's been. So I have my black jeans on, you can't see them, with leggings underneath, my turtleneck. I will wear my Patagonia jacket, and then repping the Denver Summit hat. It is Sunday, and we've got a big day today. I'm teaching the 8 a.m. advanced athletic conditioning class, which is sort of like a high rocks style class. The 9:15 full direction core class, which is a mix of strength, some conditioning, and a lot of core work. And then Kelly and I have our menopause, perimenopause workshop from 10:30 to noon. We have 19 people signed up. Super excited about that. And then I have my friend Kristen's birthday barbecue. It's going to be cold and rainy today, but we will have a good time no matter what. And I tend to really overstress and get all wrapped around the axle around days like this, which is like a lot of output, a lot of people time. And I realize over the years that I sometimes forget to account for the energy that people give me and just like the amazing people I get to coach every day. So just relying on that as we're approaching a very busy morning. And then later this afternoon, the dogs and I are just going to hang out, and they don't really require a lot out of me as far as talking to them. So we'll hang out, we'll do some food prep later, and just have sort of a relaxing night getting ready for the week. And Amy gets back tomorrow, so that's the Sunday. Okay, settling into a little Sunday night dinner. So this is a meal that Amy and I have almost weekly. It's a tofu and cauliflower shawarma bowl. So it's just tofu and cauliflower roasted with shawarma seasoning, some brown rice, and then this has cucumber and tomato, little lemon juice, little olive oil, salt and pepper, and I forgot the best ingredient in that, which is mint. I was like, what is this missing? It's mint, but it is delicious, and I'll share the full recipe probably next week. Wrapping up the vlog here. Thank you so much for following along for what was a bizarre week. Appreciate your comments, questions, feedback, and just being along for the ride for this new vlog journey. See you next week.